has mentored me, and I thought it would be a great idea to bring him in and ask him some questions that I ask him on the phone, and he gives me great insight. So first of all, Reke, tell me about how you see the current market at the moment.
It's overstressed.
It's overstressed.
Too much stress in the market. Way too much stress.
Yeah, and what could you explain that further?
Well, I think that we've had probably 4 or 5 years of stress accumulating.
Yeah.
So just before COVID, we were seeing that construction contracts were becoming so competitive that trades were basically giving you a week to agree or not agree. So therefore we had huge escalation in construction prices. And then came COVID, and that meant that a lot of city staff got to work from home, and your projects didn't move forward because sometimes the city person would respond or not respond, right? Because they weren't working in the real space. You could go and knock on their door and say, hey, what's going on? Right? Then we come out of COVID, not even fully out of COVID, and we have supply chain issues. For instance, friends of mine who had a condominium project completed in Vancouver and had their appliances spec as Miele. Well, the Ukraine war happened, and the factory that used to make the harnesses for Miele got blown up. So they couldn't actually get appliances. That's just one example of supply chain problem that we have. So a whole lot of development got delayed because everybody was experiencing supply chain problems. While we haven't fully recovered from supply chain problems, interest rates start taking up. So interest rate on project literally doubled. So if you had project reserve interest for say $1 million, you now needed $2 million. So, and we've had this high interest burden for over 2 years. So it doesn't matter who you talk to, it doesn't matter whether it's a billionaire developer or $1 million developer. Each one of them is experiencing the same problem, that their spare cash reserve has been sucked up in this interest. Today, if I go talk to my colleagues and I say, do you have a mood to do something? They have no mood, because either they're sitting on inventory that hasn't moved, or that their spare cash reserve is gone. So net sum consequence of this is that the land market is pretty much dead, and there are no buyers for land.
Well, I've seen that. I've had pre-sale lots that I haven't been able to move, and price has been a big determinant of that. And then the cost of developing the land, right?
So the only way that a development works today, because is executed. And you take it to the end. You can't, this idea that you could buy land and use the land uptake for equity to go forward is over. The land is falling month by month, land values are falling.
So then how is this compounded by the US tariff situation?
Well, I don't think that we've had any impact at the moment other than psychology. I think psychology is the biggest element of it. And so if you think in terms of an already stressed community of developers, and then you add in the next layer of uncertainty, and they start thinking, even though they may not have be constructing for a year, but they're still thinking of the escalation effect on their costs from this tariff war.
Okay. All right. So moving forward then, I have spoken to some other clients of mine that are developers, and they're putting off projects, right? That they're not ready to purchase anything in the short-term future. We also, in a conversation we had, you spoke about there being 1 million builds out there that are in inventory. Can you expand further on that?
Yeah. So It's difficult to get an exact number because a lot of new units are not listed in the MLS system, so you couldn't just pull the data out. Right? So there are firms that go out and kind of make that assessment. So what I'm hearing from data analytics type people is that our Lower Mainland market has over 1 million unsold new units.
In the Fraser Valley?
No, I would say Lower Mainland.
Lower Mainland,
right?
okay.
And Surrey Central has another sort of complexity in that some high rises were pre-sold in a lot of excitement, and there were people who were sort of the investor speculator class who moved in and contracted 25 units or 30 units, and there are some marketers that actually specialize in bringing those kind of investors in. You know, it's kind of arbitrage. Play the middleman. Like you buy from the manufacturer, and you basically become the wholesaler, and then you sell
them afterwards. Yeah,
they are stressed, right? Because some closing obligations are coming, and they can't close because there are no buyers on. There are people that are willing to sell the units that they bought in the pre-sale and give away the deposit they pay, and still no buyers. So I don't know any other word than to say stress. Perhaps I can change that to say unprecedented stress.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Unprecedented stress. In my time here in British Columbia, I've not seen this degree of stress before.
And how long have you been here?
1989.
1989, yeah. I was talking to realtors today, been in the market 22 years, 25 years, and they've never seen anything like this either, right? Yeah. So it is uncharted territory, most definitely. So you spoke to me last time about with the tariffs that were going to be on, and then they're off, and now they're coming on. You spoke to me something about stockpiling. The developers were buying product and not with
yes. So one of our big exports from here is lumber. And people that I know in the trucking business were busy through December, January, and February shipping lumber to stockists in the U.S. who wanted to get that lumber before the U.S. put tax on them. And then there were people here who build kind of commercial projects with steel, and the steel comes from the US. So they were stockpiling here. So there was this period where people that had staging space, like in a warehouse space, and because our demand here in BC is already depressed because construction is down, I don't know what capacity that mills had to produce and sell. But I think mills basically did pretty well on this because they were able to ship a lot of product that otherwise would not really.
I always feel like, and Roger always says it to me, like never waste a crisis, right? So what is the silver lining in all of this then? Is there a silver lining?
This is uncharted territory. I don't know what the silver lining is, right? If you have a situation where the liquidity in the market has been sucked out through high interest rates, without liquidity, things can't move. And we have the biggest liquidity crisis that I have experienced in my lifetime, I would say. I've seen liquidity crisis, but not of this scale.
So moving forward then, you say it's unprecedented. You've got no idea how it's going to roll out, right?
Exactly.
Precisely. Okay, so I always like to try and sell the good news at the end of the story. So, but I don't think we need to have a wait and see approach. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think there is some good news. Some good news. while we have seen prices on finished units fall back maybe 15 to 20%.
I've seen that.
Last year to now. That, coupled with the new interest rates, lower interest rates, it may be possible for people to qualify. Now, new construction wasn't moving because essentially it took the first time buyer out of the market. So if you're going to buy $1 million unit with the new interest rates, you almost needed a $250,000 income to support it. But if your family income was $150,000, $180,000, which is good family income, you could afford a house.
Yes.
The interest rate was just so high, you wouldn't qualify, you wouldn't pass the stress test. So now, when I talk to younger people, right, the 25 to 40 year age group, they're still struggling with deposit, and they're also thinking, like, do I take the plunge? Like, is the market going to fall more? So there is, and if you measure consumer confidence, and if you would separate out real estate as what is the real estate contribution to that consumer confidence, huge contribution. Consumer confidence in real estate is like
way low. Yeah, and I agree with you there as well, most definitely. I've got some clients that have purchased in Solel and Marble, right? And now they've come time to complete because it's going to complete in the next 6 weeks or so. And I see that the developer has put some properties leftover stock at a lower price than what he has sold it for, right? So they've definitely had that conversation with them the other night, and we're too happy about how things are.
So that creates a complication now.
Yeah.
Because their unit want a price right, and then their loan to value ratio will change, and they may not have enough equity because now they're working on a lower end value, and the loan to value ratio changes.
Yeah, it does. It does create a big thing. Yeah. I think moving forward, we've got 4 years of uncertainty for sure, right? And then I feel that the economists that I've read from, and I do read various economists, they're going to have to bring down rates further than where they are right now. And I've even seen that some have said maybe 1.25%, somewhere in that range again, right, to kind of stimulate the market.
I think government needs to do more. Okay. So I've seen perhaps 3 cycles, right, of real estate downturn. My first one was at the time of this constitutional crisis we had in Canada with the Means Labour Code. But what led the country out of recession was real estate. Real estate leaves, right? Because so much depends on it. So many people are employed in construction. So many people are involved in, appliances, paint delivery, like there's such a huge ecosystem that goes around with new construction. And when new construction is depressed, the country goes into recession. So to pull it out, there has to be something to actually get that going. And I believe that more importantly than even interest rate, it is the role that CMHC has to play. CMHC is making it more difficult to build rental. And I think that if there's something that a government can do to stimulate the construction industry, that's what it would be, to make CMHC rules
softer.
Yes, so that make for example, give an example. Okay. So the rent rate to qualify for affordable rent in Surrey has been $1,275. I think for 5 years. Right? And when you run your numbers on that rent, nothing works. Right? So before, in their what they call the MLI Select program, they used to have that you would get points for building to a certain environmental standard. Well, they removed that. And they now more heavily focus on what percentage of your project actually meets the 1275 criteria. So regardless of, before we even start talking about land price, like a typical condominium project, construction cost is now around minimum $300,000 a square foot.
And that's the wood building, right?
Wood building. Then on top of that, you put in your interest costs. Then you start layering on top of that DCC, the school levy, this levy, metro levy. Right? You're putting all those things in.
Road, parking.
Yeah, all that stuff. Right? You pretty much end up with your cost structure that cannot support a rental building. It cannot. Just your cost structure cannot support a rental building. And that's where the government has a role. And
a lot of people, they don't have their retirement, their houses are their retirement, right? So, yeah.
So for somebody with the ambition of becoming prime minister, his first announcement he's making to the people is this: your house prices are too high. We have to find a way of bringing your house prices down. To me, that seems like a very smart political strategy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a conservative.
Yeah.
And you think, obviously, wealth is in property.
Yeah.
Individual wealth is in property. As you said, somebody's retirement income, retirement comes out of property. What he's saying in his platform for Canadian national election is that your house price is too high. Go to work and bring in your house price down.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be a conservative.
Well, house prices are falling at the moment. So this current market, I think that there's a great discord between what somebody thinks their home is worth and what the home is actually worth if they were to sell it. Right, so it's interesting times. Anyway, I think that's it. I just wanted to pick your brain for a little bit, and it's been fun. I always learn a lot from you. And we'll see how this goes. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.